So I actually made this post. I was a little bit embarrassed that it got included. I'm going to be honest, but I was trying to express, like my version, what my ideal balance of PvX would be might be different from Linikers or even Virtex. And that's all I was trying to express. A lot of people took it very interesting directions. But Vaknar ended up responding recently, and I linked directly to Vaknar's comment. And it says, as I revisit this thread and parse through its pages, I'm reminded of this part of the OP from myself. It makes me wonder what elements, perhaps game mechanics or systems from that spectrum have you all enjoyed in other MMORPGs? Do you have examples of MMORPGs that have a spectrum of PvX? If so, what are your thoughts on them and those relevant systems? And the in general thing that I was trying to get out of this is that, right now I feel like it's a little PvP heavy, but for other people, they feel like it's a perfect balance of PvP and PvE. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's an interesting topic, and definitely, yeah. I mean, PvX, it's like these terms they are difficult because we don't have a dictionary definition of these, and it all comes down with our own experiences, like which PvP games have we played before, which PvE games or which PvX games have we played before, and those references they influence a lot. Like for me, definitely when I think about Ashes of Creation, when I think about PvX, it's mainly like you can't just have one play style. Like I can't just do PvP all the time. Like in Ashes of Creation, there's a lot of people that would like to have a system that some games do it. Like you have an arena and you just do PvP in that arena, you farm a token and you buy gear with your PvP token, something like that. You can't do that in Ashes of Creation. You need to do either grinding or caravans to get gold and buy your stuff, or crafting or join a guild and do PvE to have access to gears. And I think that's what makes it PvX for me, which is just like you can't just do one thing. You need to at least lean into one or the other eventually during your playtime. Of course, you can focus and you can have your own objectives, your own goals, of course.
Oh gosh, Virtek. Oh, I don't hear you. You're muted, my love.
Yeah, gotcha. Sorry, I was typing away furiously, so I wanted to mute the mic. But yeah, I put forth the theory that crafting is pure PvP. Because who do you compete with when you're trying to sell your crafted gear? Are you competing with the town's NPC merchant? No, not at all. You're competing with other players.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah. I mean, but, unless you're a crafter for your own like guild or your own group of friends or community, and you're just doing things and getting paid, and then you're not really competing, maybe.
Yeah.
But see, you had to compete with other people to get in that guild and hold that spot of like the crafter that they want to go to.
And Riordan says, I agree, it is PvP heavy. Penumbral says PvP players feel it's a good balance. Ashes and Air says, most importantly, what is Steven's PvX definition really, since he has the final word, which is absolutely fair. Wizzy says it's going to be PvP heavy to anyone who doesn't normally seek out PvP. As a PvPer, it really does sound like it'll be balanced to suit middle grounders. And then there's like conversation on what's PvP about crafting. And then I don't know. I think for me though, I would like to see, like, if you're going to have some of these events, even if it's limited time, being able to, I guess maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say because, like, again, if I'm intending on participating in a fishing tournament, going back to the previous example, I would like to be able to feel like not worried about someone killing me during a fishing tournament. A role play thing, I completely understand. Like, I understand if I want to make up my own role play thing, and like the whole thing that happened with World of Warcraft and that I believe it was a PvP server, but they had the funeral for one of the members for the guild, and then people came and murdered them while they're having their funeral session.
Yeah, I heard that story. That.
So I understand things like that not being protected, but I think if you're going to have an in-game event, I think that should have some level of protection, if not be in a more protected area. But I don't know. Like for me, what would I see as more of a PvE thing? It's hard to say, honestly, with Ashes. I don't know where that would fit exactly, given the plans that they have with Ashes.
Yeah.
On RP server is protected. Yes, that's fair. But I don't think Ashes is intending to have a RP server.
Womp womp. But I would have to say, in response to Vaknar's question there,
Yeah.
and this is going to sound really weird at first, so I'm going to need to explain after. But the game that I think balanced perfectly a PvX experience is a World of Warcraft PvP server. The only thing is adding Ashes corruption to it would have made it actually perfect. But they had PvP events that were instanced, PvP events that were isolated. They had PvE events that were isolated and instanced. They had PvE events that were out in the open world, thus driving some contention with PvP. They had just in general questing that was out in the open world, driving contention and giving opportunities for friction. Yet everybody had their own place they could go to. Like, what are arenas for? Arenas are for one, either the people who want prestige of winning arenas and being number one, etc. And two, for people to practice PvP builds in a quote unquote safe and controlled manner, right? Well, PvE people in a game like Ashes won't have that place to go and practice and just do PvE stuff without being harassed, except for story quest instances of raids and dungeons, which are not going to be tuned to be super hard, and you can only do them once.
Yeah.
So just the addition of at least even open world dungeons and raids where you could get the door locked behind you when you get there, when you fought your way through, and you can get your party in there or your raid in there, and that's it, and you can lock the door, recover, and then go in and fight the boss. I think that would be an ideal kind of balance, because you've done the PvP thing to get your way there, you fought for dominance of the area, and then you can instigate the fight and continue your PvE experience.
Yeah, I think one of the, I mean, I do agree in part of that, because like a WoW PvP server, I do agree it does represent very well what I would say a PvX game should or could be. But I think there's a difference between that and Ashes of Creation. I think it's two types of PvX. There's a PvX type game where you have a lot of both content available. I think that's what fits WoW, let's say WoW Classic PvP server a lot more, because you have a lot of PvP content for PvPers, and you have a lot of PvE content as well for PvEers, as you were saying. You have things that would make both crowds happy, and I think that's why WoW got so popular, because everyone could like have their own space, do their things, interact with each other, of course, do raiding, do arenas, do all that. But they had that content that they could go and they could just be happy doing whatever they feel like in that particular day. What Ashes is trying to do, I think it's trying to basically not have a separation between content. It's like trying to have it's just a game. It has content, it has like raids. And what are raids? Raids, you have to fight a boss, and maybe you have to fight other players. That's the content. I think that's the kind of way that they're trying to go to. I'm not particularly, I mean, for me, I like both, to be honest. But yeah, I totally see why people might not appreciate so much like trying to do a PvE content, or trying to do an event as we're talking about, and being interrupted by other players. I can see how that could be annoying for sure.
It'd be kind of like the equivalent of trying to have a PvP arena be open world. It just doesn't make sense.
For sure. Yeah, so, something I was I'm not sure if if you guys heard me when I was saying that it comes back to that uh, something that I do think that a lot of people will be surprised in Ashes the way I see it, because since it's a very node driven game and community driven game, like with people joining guilds, being parts of communities, like you guys playing with Nexus, you guys having your tavern somewhere in the node, everyone knowing people. I think the amount of times that people will experience PvP within your own nodes, within your own region, I think it's going to be a lot less that people anticipate. Because, of course, you're going to have like gankers, people coming from other regions, but that's not going to happen very often. And whenever a ganker comes, like Nexus will show up, fight them off. Like 10 minutes later, they'll be gone. They'll kill maybe 1-2 people, they'll just be gone. I think we will have a lot of safety and protection within our own nodes where people know us. And yeah, I can totally see a lot of events happening, a lot of things going on without PvP even happening around there.